Hi, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is Ursi. I just can't seem to get enough of talking about the heavens and what's above and how it informs below. You know, this whole idea of having past lives, our current life, and then maybe even peeking at what our future might, and going forward, what those lives might look like. So here's where that word quantum soul guidance comes in. It's this idea that past, present, and future on the timeline are all happening now. So it moves from a linearity living style in 3D, and it becomes much more of a circle. It's this idea of time actually becoming spherical. So you go flat circle to sphere, and it becomes more holographic. So for me, I just love playing in the soup of narrative, storytelling. What are the stories, first of all, and how might they inform my current path? And let's test it for accuracy by giving some free mini readings. So I'm basing the astrology or the galactic astrology all from the class I'm in with Julia Balaz with her starseedsastrology.com free online calculator and her classes on starseeds.teachable.com. Okay, so this is a free mini reading for Dream Journey. Dream Journey, thank you for reaching out. Let me share a few tidbits with you and you can decide whether they land well or not. But for you, I'm going to start with your astrological wheel first because it's fascinating. It tells a story. So let me share my screen. Here we go. Now what you're seeing is an astrology wheel from a program called astro.com. And I'm kind of cropping in so that the natal information isn't readily available. But Dream Journey, I hope you recognize this is you. From, if you were to condense your soul into a geometry, my story is, this is how you look from a galactic, symbolic, sacred geometry perspective, okay? And guess what? One more step beyond is the specific geometries that you see in your natal chart have a certain resonant sound. There's music in those aspects. And your sound that you're making, when you take a look at the location of your planets, you see how so many of them are creating like a fan above and then a little fan below. When we have so many major planets opposite one another, see how it's empty here and empty on this side as well? We call that a seesaw. So you've created a seesaw for yourself in this lifetime where the whole theory is around working with duality, polarity, black, white, yin, yang. And guess what? The lesson is to find out how to keep yourself centered in the center of your own zodiacal wheel to balance out the positive and negative, male, female, masculine, feminine, yip and yap, staying in the center and helping to transmute some of this polarized energy, right? And so fear not, this is what your soul took on. Okay, so let's look at this first of all. Your brightest light is your sun, and your sun is sitting way up here at your midheaven in Libra at 11 degrees 36 minutes. So you have a sun that is at the top of your chart, basically conjunct your midheaven. What does that mean? Think of a picture of the Olympic torch. Your sun is sitting at the top and serving as a torch. But here's, okay, and so opposite your sun, see how that says 11 degrees? Boom, boom, boom. Is this little figure here with the T with headphones. That is your true north node at 9 degrees. So basically completely opposite Aries, Libra, polarity, duality. Then you have your beautiful moon sitting here in Pisces, and it is completely opposite. See the red line? Pluto and Jupiter, as well as Uranus. Okay, so look at this dynamic. A moon in Pisces, sun in Libra. Now let's look at your ascendant. What does the head or prow of your ship look like? Well, this is a fascinating chart. Your ascendant is starting at the 29th degree, 47 minutes. I mean, there's only 60 minutes, right? And so look at, you're at the 29th degree. There's only 30 degrees of every sign. 29, the very end degrees of Sagittarius. So hopefully, my friend, that you've gotten the correct birth time, because if you just had like a minute or two off, it could switch your ascendant. Okay, so I know I'm chattering a little bit, but I wanted to show you how important this is. This is 29 degrees of Sag, and the opposite, your descendant, is 29 degrees. My gosh, look how close this is. Look at close, Gemini, right there. Less than half a minute over, and it's like, oh, Cancer. All right, so I wanted to show you how these 29 degrees, these two, I can't go into it in depth right now, but there's something called world points. So beyond the free mini, we'll have to look at world points one day if you ever want to reach out to me. Okay, so what's the setup when we look at this wheel? We know that the 29th degree of Sag, the ruling planet for Sag is Jupiter. And here comes Jupiter right up here opposing your moon. But what's calling out to me is actually the planetary ruler for Capricorn, this first house, because it's so close. And Saturn rules as the modern ruler for Capricorn. And look how he's sitting here, right here in the fourth house of home and nurturance. And see these little green dashed lines? That is forming what's called a finger of God, pointing at Saturn, the planet of constriction. It's the law. It's the stern father at 22 degrees, 55 minutes. Love this vibration of 22 and 55. I gotta say, my friend, you have markers for an incredible life. So I wanted to look a little closer. Now that we've seen the astrological wheel, we've seen your North Node in Aries, we've seen this Libra Aries dynamic, the polarity, the duality. Oh, one more fun thing. Because this is the 29th degree of Sagittarius, your whole sign of Capricorn is what's called intercepted. And right across too, we see that this is 29 degrees of Gemini. Your whole sign of Cancer is intercepted. What does that mean? Well, when I looked at Julia Balaz's meaning in our course study of an intercepted house, so you've got this idea of Capricorn, how I am out in the world, with the sign of Cancer, nurturance and family and home. Okay, so I took a little notes. Capricorn, Cancer, when the signs are intercepted. Now you can listen to these words and decide if they ring true or not. And if it's not, you just throw them away. But it turns out one of the messages in your chart is that this idea of emotional security and nurturance may have been intercepted or missing. May you or your soul agree to come in and say, yeah, I can move and be born into an emotionally how do I say it, non-existent or very little emotional support for me as a human being. So this emotional security and nurturance may be up for you in this lifetime as a chosen path, okay? But it's also falling in the first house. See house 1 right here and house 7. See how big, much bigger house 1 and 7 are a little bit, right? So when it's an interception for house 1 and house 7, that shows us how does this emotional security or insecurity show up. And house 1 will be asking questions like, oh, or this whole axis will ask questions like, well, gee, do I have trouble with my assertiveness and saying yes when I really mean no? Do I have a little bit of boundary issues? Secondarily, do I have issues with procrastination? or initiation. Like you might get things started eventually, but then do I finish the job? So I'm just saying that because we don't know each other, I'm just looking at, okay, does that ring true or not? So when I see that kind of message, I'm going to stop share for a minute. When I see that kind of a message, I'm thinking, okay, there's another layer we can bring in, and that's the galactic astrology. What fixed stars might be in alignment to help us when we see a wheel that is a seesaw, right? It's like I'm up, I'm down, and then how is it playing out? I also have this idea of duality in my own natal chart. So I'm very aware sometimes of, okay, can I get to the center and not be so up and down? All right, so let's see, let me share my screen again, and let's go to the Starseeds Astrology site. Let's see, is it here? Yeah, I've plugged in your information. Okay, you can see it says Sun in Libra, 11th house. I'm starting with the basic report with constellations. And I'm just looking at, we start here below and we look at where did you originate for a soul, as a soul in this galaxy. And it turns out it's at Centaurus, the Centaurus constellation, okay? That's one data point. The second data point is, what was your most recent lifetime? We look at the sun, moon, and ascendant. So it's either going to be at Ursa Minor or Orion, or it could be a combination of both. And to learn about these constellations, you just Google Orion starseeds or Ursa Minor starseeds, and you're going to be surprised at how much data comes forward. Okay, so let me go now to the extended report. And okay, first glance at your chart. Holy moly, you have been around. Look at this. It's so full. There's very few empty boxes. Look at this. Your Saturn line. Remember we saw that finger of God pointing at Saturn? Well, holy moly. These are either some of the players or the helpers, okay, for you to help transmute that energy. Remember, when you're working with duality, the issue is transmuting, acknowledging that energy and finding a way to dissipate or, transmute, move it into a different type of frequency. So it's not so polarized of good, bad, hot, cold. No, you just go, okay, go for warm, or slightly warm, or even just neutral, tepid. Go for tepid water. All right, so let me go back. We talked about your most recent lifetime. And we saw Ursa Minor and Orion. So we look at both of them are oppositions. Ursa Minor is opposite, the fixed star Polaris within Ursa Minor constellation is opposite your ascendant in Sagittarius at the 29th degree, 46 minutes. I mean, my goodness. That is remarkable. And I'm sure there's a huge story to share about your ascendant at that degree. But look at Ursa Minor, Polaris. However, when we look at Orion, where Betelgeuse, the fixed star Betelgeuse within the constellation Orion, is 1 degree, 28 minutes opposite your ascendant, where this is 1 minute, 1 degree, 39 minutes opposite your ascendant. So the closest one is Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse. Okay, and if you just take a peek at where Orion lays within your chart, there's red here, Orion, 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 Orion. Okay, and in case you didn't know, okay, let me just stop sharing for just a minute. Orion, yes, the story around that incredible star nation, okay, all those fixed stars within that constellation of Orion, the hunter, his belt, it's about duality. It is fighting the good fight. Sometimes you're the bad guy, sometimes you're the good guy. This is where the men in black come from, supposedly, that story. So this idea of duality, the fight, well, we're going to fight for good and we're going to or we're going to be, let's overtake them. So service for self and service for others. The duality, the dark is dark and light is light, meet in Orion. That is part of the narrative that comes out of Lissa Royal Holt's book, The Prism of Lyra. Incredible. If you like galactic information, check out Lissa Royal Holt's book on Amazon, The Prism of Lyra. Okay, I got to go back to your chart. I could talk about your chart for days. It's pretty amazing. Here we go. Your origin story. Remember, we looked down here, first looked at Pluto for any conjunctions or opposition, right? We don't find one until we hit Neptune, where we see that constellation Centaurus is conjunct for the fixed star Beta Centauri Hadar is conjunct your Neptune in Scorpio, 24 degrees, 42 minutes in the 11th house. Okay, boy, I'm gonna shout out to you, Dream Journey. Go ahead and Google Hadar Starseeds, Hadar, because there is something called Hadarians. It's so amazing. But I can't help but comment when you see a chart that is this chock full of being around the galaxy with ring nebulas, ring nebula, the Lyra, I mean, that's your go-to place. Look at these ring nebulas. Those are portals, access for entry in and out of this system. You've got the Orion Nebula, Orion Nebula, Orion Nebula. Oh my goodness, you are really a galactic traveler. So if you want to take this to the next step, here could be a homework assignment. If I were you with this full chart, okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Oh my God, please, Dream Journey. And I love that you call yourself Dream Journey, because I think with all these stargates and portals that you work with, you move through them at night. You must do galactic astral traveling. So your mission on Earth is also holding light and space and work off planet. That's what it feels like and looks like to me. But homework assignment, I'm a double Virgo. I like to put things in boxes. So this is what I would recommend. Look at every single soul connection in your chart and start writing the number of Andromedan soul connections. And here I'm going to go back to the chart so I can show you. Here we go. Okay, we'll start at the top. Look at all the constellations or the connections you have with Taurus. Okay, and so you can just count them out. 1, 2, 3. You keep going down. 4. Okay, so you write how many Taurus connections I have, the constellation Taurus. Then I would recommend looking at Canis Major and doing that for each and every single constellation that you have. You're going to do what I call do the math. Find out by doing this, you'll find out who your star nation family is, okay, or are. There's King Arthur's Round Table. Yours is like huge table, probably stacked tables. So just go find out what star constellations you are in touch with, and then move to the fixed stars. Which stars within those constellations are calling you? And if you're so confused, because I like to talk too fast, really, with a chart like that, if you're at all interested, I would highly recommend you give a careful look to Julia Balaz's practitioner's course. You've got this duality showing up. And if you have procrastination or initiation issues about joining a class, you can always just sign up for that online galactic astrology component. I think she has 4 or 5 classes on Teachable. Well, hope that wasn't too much school mother Ursula coming out, but I'm so excited with your chart. I gotta just show it one more time. Let me put it up on screen. You have an incredible chart. So thank you for letting me practice. I mean, you're traveling and scooting all around. Gee, I don't even know where to begin. I think I might look at your North Node. You know, what are you here to do? And when we go back, here's your free chart. Remember how pivotal Saturn is. 22 degrees, 55 minutes. Look at those numbers resonating. And here comes the number 9 for your North Node. I mean, 29, this is a world point at the ascendant and descendant. Pluto, gee, look at, you've got this whole lineup on the seesaw. So these planets you probably know are below the horizon line. This is more your private self. This is you privately, how you feel. Your Chiron, look at this, the wounded healer is sitting right here at your IC at 0 degrees, 36 minutes. So you're maybe at that time in your life where you've transmuted whatever the healing wound, the wound that you've brought in. You may be at a stage in your life now where, yeah, it's moved from wound to gift. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. I'm just going to keep going. Oh my God. So here's Sagittarius, 27 degrees. Sagittarius is about right here, which we would say is conjunct your ascendant. That is where the galactic center sits. Excuse me, galactic center sitting on your ascendant. That is like, here's the ship. I got to stop for a minute. Here's the prow of your ship, your ascendant, right? You've got the galactic center. Remember I said you've got the midheaven, this huge torch? Well, you got a bigger torch at the prow of your ship, okay? And there's one more thing. Oh my God. Sorry, this is not a mini reading. This is like a crazy reading. Look at, here's your descendant right here, okay? Because I want to tell you, I looked this up because I'm speechless. In fact, I should probably stop being so speechless, but so here's the galactic center fueling you. And then you've got 29 degrees Gemini. All right, so here's what I'm going to tell you. At 28 degrees, 45 minutes of Gemini, I want you to write down June 20th, okay? June 20th, because if you're tracking with Nancy Jean and doing her 9 candles for the solstice, which is coming up June 21st, 2022, on June 20th, beginning that day and including the solstice, there is a major fixed star sitting right here. So you've got galactic center, and then you've got this huge star, and it's in the constellation Orion, and it is called Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse. And if you're a subscriber to my channel, go back and find where I talk about Orion and Betelgeuse. It's the red planet. Oh, it's in my talk with Nancy. Nancy Jean and I talked about the solstice. But here your chart is showing that you are like supercharged for your ascendant, your midheaven, and your descendant. And oh, did I mention your IC? Let's see this one. I'm just, oh, the Chiron. Okay. You've got all 4 corners, it would be nice to meet you someday and just hear how life has been so far, and if any of this landed. But I'm going to call out June 20th as a day, if you decide to use that as a day to meditate, and including on the solstice on the 21st, meditate and call in your Orion star families, especially from this fixed star Betelgeuse, okay? Take out the movie and just go Google Betelgeuse starseeds. And there's a second time of year, December 20th, when Betelgeuse will be conjunct the southern hemisphere. So you've got 2 times a year when you can meditate, and it will activate your chart like you won't believe. So whatever is cosmically supposed to come through to help support you on your mission on Earth, you know, while you're traveling around the galaxy in your dreams on this huge journey, you know, that would be from my heart to yours. Consider meditating on June 20th during the day and asking for the Orion fixed star Betelgeuse family members to help guide you, because this is all about love. I don't go into this fear. It's yes, it's yin and yang. It's the whole, you know, black and white, but it's all this cosmic game to push us each to expand, you know, so together we expand. Okay, dream journey, that's all I got. See everybody next time on the Ascension Playground. Woohoo! Bye.